and so forth when I first wrote my article in 1974. Now, those of you who don't have my article, The SLA is the CIA, can write to me. I still have a few copies left, and then I hope someday that I can get it into a book with the follow-up since I wrote the article, making my allegations on one section and then following it up with what happened 4 or 6 years later, the questions that were never answered. And I've been rereading this article. I sent several copies to the Hearst family. I've been doing it for 4 years and never got an answer. And finally, Reverend Dumke, Patty's priest, called me, and I have been in touch with him telephonically in the last 3 weeks, and I will be seeing Patty in September. Hopefully, they're arranging a meeting. And there was a woman in prison that said to her, you should meet this woman in Carmel, Mae Brussel, and she told Reverend Dumke, and he told her that he was in touch with me. And I think we can help Patty, but the big thing is just keep her alive. You see, there's techniques when you get into the prison, and I will give you some of the suggestions I gave for her and gave to him, and in the event that she is killed, we'll have these as a record to watch the trial. Before I do that, I just want to read the introduction with you one more time for those of you who have or don't have my article, The SLA is the CIA, because I wrote this, as I say, in the summer of '74. It was 4 years ago. And I made this statement that the kidnapping of Patricia Hearst was vital to the creation of the SLA Army, which, of course, I transcribe as CIA. It was as important as the murder of Austrian Archduke Franz Ferdinand was to the beginning of World War I. Both the kidnapping, her kidnapping, and his murder were used as an excuse to declare war. The ensuing battles had been carefully prepared and anticipated by the merchants of death, meaning the armaments manufacturers, the police, the FBI, the Army, everybody that was to gain from this signal. The end goals of the SLA are World War III, that is the CIA, to plunge the third world masses into starvation and slavery. We have accomplished this through the CIA in 77 countries. The third world inside the United States is the next selected victim, meaning the Chicanos, the blacks, the women's movement, even the leftist organizations, all radical organizations, and by infiltrating them and sending up, identifying their leaders at the time of the People in Need program and so forth, they were easily identifiable and who was working for them. And I even suggested that food could be put into the baskets that had poison in it, such as dildrin in the chickens that were handed out in that $2 million food program. And I've read recently that there's a high incidence of cancer in blacks in the Northern Bay area, which I think is interesting, and we have to watch that years from now and see how those statistics come out. The purpose also was to discredit the people at Berkeley. The radical movements were discredited, and then they could be associated with kidnapping and terror and murder and bank robberies and so forth. And I suggested very strongly in this article that this operation of the SLA was a continuation of what we got a glimpse of at the time of the Watergate affair 2 years later that is still being exposed, of how the CIA and the FBI and the Pentagon work and rig elections and affect our lives, including the district attorneys, the Justice Department, the Attorney Generals on down. These operations, the SLA and the kidnapping operations that would escalate after Patty and from the time that Patty was kidnapped, were part of the FBI counterintelligence program and the CIA Tom Charles Houston plan combined with the Pentagon, and, as I say, infiltrating all the way down to the local police levels to create the police SWAT teams that are used and will be used during food riots and unemployment. There are unemployment riots stirring up now